Hi, my name is Cecilia Márquez. I'm the Hunt Family Assistant Professor of History here at Duke and the author of Making the Latino South, A History of Racial Formation, which came out in September of 2023. The book actually started when I was a junior in college. It started, weirdly enough, in Raleigh, just down the street from me today here in Durham. It started when I went to Shaw University, which is the historically Black college and university in Raleigh, for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee's 50th anniversary conference. For those who don't know, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, also known as SNCC, was one of the youth-led vanguard movement organizations in the civil rights movement. So I went to their conference when I was a junior in college, and I interviewed a lot of the civil rights activists who were there. And one of the people that I got to meet while I was there was Luis Zapata. He was a United Farm Workers organizer who had moved from California to Mississippi to help organize with the Southern Civil Rights Movement. He had worked in SNCC, he'd also worked with the Mississippi Freedom Labor Union, and had been an organizer in the Southern Civil Rights Movement. And this was totally shocking to me. I had never heard a story of Latinos organizing in the Southern Civil Rights Movement. And then when I started to think about it, I didn't know a history of Latinos in the South at all. And that's really what I went to graduate school to do. And that's what I ended up writing in here in this book. I wanted to be able to tell the story of people like Luis Zapata and tell the story of Latinos in the South throughout Southern history. I wanted to be able to tell how Latinos interacted with Jim Crow, how they interacted with the Southern Civil Rights Movement. What role did Latinos play in racial systems and economic systems? How have Latinos transformed the South and been transformed by the South? And that's what I really set out to do, and that's what's here today. The book is now more than just a story of Latinos in the civil rights movement. It goes from the 1940s to the 2010s, and it tells the history of Latinos in the South throughout that entire time period. I opened the book with the story of the Soto family. Daniel Soto, the patriarch of the family, was trained as an electrician, and in the 1950s in San Antonio, Texas, he could not find a job. The few jobs he could find didn't pay him well, and he struggled to make a living with his wife and his daughter. San Antonio, Texas, as much of Texas was at this time, was a hard place to be Mexican or Mexican American. Anti-Mexican sentiment was particularly virulent at this time, and they felt that discrimination firsthand. So when Daniel Soto got a call from his brother-in-law that all of a sudden that he had found work in Rosedale, Mississippi, and that this might be a better place for them to settle, he jumped at the chance. He relocated with his wife and his daughter to the Mississippi Delta in the middle of the 1950s. Now you might be thinking, what do I know about Mississippi in the 1950s? This is probably not going to turn out well. Well, you might be surprised to find that the Soto family relocated. They found better work, they found steady work, they lived in white neighborhoods, and they attended white schools, and they were able to sort of assimilate into a white community in Rosedale, Mississippi. There were also other Mexicans and Mexican Americans in the Mississippi Delta community that they were a part of. It wasn't just white and Black, but there was a whole community of people there, and they became a part of that. And so the question is, why is it that in the 300-mile east move from San Antonio to the Mississippi Delta, was the Soto family able to find better paying work, better opportunities, and more acceptance? What was happening there? Why was Mississippi a more racially accepting place for these populations? And that's really what I get at in this book. I try and use Latinos as a way to talk about how race worked differently in the South than it did in other parts of the country. And a lot of this has to do with the questions of Blackness, anti-Blackness, and white supremacy in the US South, and the way that Latinos give us a window into understanding those populations. The book moves from the 1940s and 50s, from a moment where the Soto family was able to find racial acceptance in Mississippi, to the 2010s, where Mississippi becomes home to some of the most draconian anti-immigrant legislation in the country. And I try and understand how over that time period do Latinos go from experiencing a kind of racial acceptance in Mississippi to a kind of racial exclusion by the 2010s. There's some fun detours in there. It's not all a story that is sort of serious and heavy, although that's part of it. There's a great chapter on south of the border, which is a Mexican-themed rest stop between North and South Carolina. But it's really a story about how race is made and how race is remade, and why where you are shapes so much of what race means. So that's what the book is about. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you ask me a million questions and engage with it. And I hope that it tells you something new about the history of Latinos and the history of the South. Thank you.